Hi everyone. I believe this is Saturday evening, and yes, we're doing something totally different tonight. We're going to be working with polymer clay. And my son is texting me back and forth. The one that just moved to Connecticut, he just sent me a picture, a lovely, lovely picture of an outside roaring fire in his fire pit. And I texted him back and said I would absolutely love to be there right this second. It evidently has to be cool enough there for them to have an outside fire. And it has been so hot here. But I would also love to be there with them, to spend time with them too. Not just because it's so hot here. Before I get started, I want to say welcome. Hello, my name is Beth. For all of you who have never been here before, thank you for coming. And for all of y'all that are subscribed or have been here many times before, thank you for coming back. Normally we do hauls, thrifting hauls, Temu hauls, dollar store hauls, Michael hauls, craft, a variety of things, and resin. I don't think I've ever done polymer clay on here before. That is my first true love. Here in the last 4 or 5 years anyway, I've done just about every craft known to mankind at some point in my life. But this is actually how I started my YouTube channel. I was on a clay Facebook group, and I started buying some things at Temu, and I decided to do a video to show everybody on that Facebook group what I was buying, and hence the creation of my YouTube channel. Since then, I have started with resin, which I am absolutely obsessed with. But we have a resin piece that I made that I absolutely love. Yes, that's still my son texting me on my other phone. I am so sorry. I'm not sorry that he's texting me. I'm not apologizing for that at all, but I am apologizing for the fact that it's interfering with my video. But, I don't really mind it, and I hope y'all don't either, because I love hearing from my son. Okay, this is the resin butterfly that I did, and I absolutely love it. It looks old and vintage and almost Victorian to me, but it doesn't look complete. And so I'm going to make the body out of clay. And I have a piece of wire here, nothing fancy, for the antennas that's going to be attached to the clay. It will actually get glued into the clay also. But that is what we're going to do, and to finish this off. Now, I am not going to put this in the oven, of course, but I am going to make it fit onto this, and then I will remove it. This is how I bake my clay. It is on a tile. It is just a simple square tile. I have just plain paper. I put the paper on top, and this is how it will bake. In my little, what do you call those things, ovens, those little toaster ovens. I've used the same toaster oven. I bought it at a thrift store for $10. I've used it for 5 years. It works wonderful. You have to make sure that the temperature is correct in your oven. I do have a little temperature gauge. I don't use it all the time now because I know my temperature is correct in there. But if you don't know, you can buy the little temperature gauge and put it in there. And your oven has to, it's been so long I forgot. I think it's 325 degrees. Hold on a minute. I'm going to read this because I have not baked clay in months. Isn't that odd? I want to make sure I'm not telling you wrong. And this is not telling. Of course, you don't ever microwave clay. This is what it's saying. Do not microwave. And of course, you do not do that. Do not overbake, because you can burn clay. and that is by overbaking. And normally the burnt clay comes from your oven being hotter than what you think it is, hence using the temperature gauge to make sure your oven is giving you the right temperature, even though you put it on. Oh my, this is crazy. No. Okay, 325 is I think female. This is 275. 275 degrees for 30 minutes. And you've got to make sure that your oven is at 275 when you put it on, put it in there, because if it's hotter, it's going to burn. If it's not hot enough, it's going to underbake and it will crack. It will, if you've got a piece of clay that is brittle and breaks, it's because it is not baked correctly. It's because it is underbaked. It has not baked long enough, because polymer clay, when it is baked correctly, should bend. It should be flexible. It should bend. I have a pair of earrings that I absolutely love them. It has 3 very, very thin layers of clay, and they're circles, and they're stacked on top of each other, and I put a little grommet in the middle, and I made my own earring wires too out of copper. And I can sit there, I can squeeze them, I can bend them. I've had them for almost 2 years now. I absolutely love them. They're as light as a feather. I can't even tell they're in my ears, and I get so many compliments on it. There's not another pair of earrings out there anywhere like it, because I made them. So if anyone's ever had an issue with polymer clay breaking, it is because it is underbaked. And you can burn. And thankfully, knock on wood, and I have wood to knock on, I've never burned any polymer clay. But I have known many, many people to do it. And yes, it turns black. And oh yes, it does stink up your kitchen. Now, I do bake my clay right in my kitchen. My toaster oven is right next to my refrigerator on my countertop. I have never had fumes. I do tint everything that I bake. When I put this in the oven, it will be tinted with an aluminum tray that I buy at the Dollar Tree, and they last me forever. The one that I have in there now, I've used for the last 1.5 years. And I just, when I put that in there, I put the aluminum pan turned wrong side, you know, upside down on top of it, and I tint it that way. I've never had fumes. I've never had any issue with any kind of odor, and I'm very, very sensitive to odor. So we're going to get started. Let me show you what we're going to use. We're going to use Sculpey, which is, Sculpey has more of a matte finish, which, and it's, I think Sculpey is probably one of the easiest ones to use. I have them all. And we'll get into that in another video. I will do a basic polymer clay video, starting you up from the very beginning, telling you the difference between each clay, showing you the different clays, and going step by step, but that is another video. But I'm going to use the black Sculpey right now, and I believe black Sculpey is poppy seed, if I'm not, yes, it is. Sculpey black is called poppy seed. And I'll use very little of this, but that's the clay. We will also be using one of these. Now these are pretty dull, so I don't have to worry about it. But it's a tissue blade knife. And, you know, some people, I use my tissue blade knife to make sure that my, everything's cleaned off. And see, I have dust on there. And that's one thing you need to make sure of. Now, I cleaned everything with alcohol before I even came on. Baby wipes. You want to keep baby wipes right next to you when you're doing clay. Alcohol is another thing you want to keep right next to you. Paper towels is another thing. Keeping it clean is going to be your biggest issue. Well, it is for me. It might not be for you, but it definitely is for me. But I'm using a tissue blade. I'm using clay. I do have my alcohol right here if I need it. This is one of the ones that I bought. I don't know if I'll use this or not. The only thing that I might need to use this for is to form fit it on here to push down, because you don't want to leave fingerprints, okay? And so you need something to sort of push. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a body, and I want the tail and the head to come out, okay? So it's going to be longer than the mold. And it is going to be sort of a round, puffy body with a veneer on top. And I am using an embossing folder, which I have bukus and bukus of these. And now I've never used them for card making. I've always used them for clay. This one, and if you don't know about embossing folders, one side has the embossing up, raised, and the other side, the opposite side, has the embossing down in it, not up, but in. And depending on the look you want, you choose a side. Now, I will probably be doing this just to get a good embossing, but I'm going to be using the raised side. And I'll show you that in a minute. And no, I don't use tape, but my tape dispenser is stuck to my glass. Excuse me. And so it's here. And I always work on a glass surface. You want your clay to stick. The worst thing you can do is try to roll clay and it not stick and go all over the place. And speaking of roller, I thought I brought it over here. I evidently did not. I have many types of rollers. I'm going to show you these two. This is a smaller acrylic roller. It's just acrylic. It's clear. This one is the one that I use the most, and I have to clean it off because it does have clay on it. And I just like the weight of this. And that is my favorite roller right there. It is a little bit wider. I'm going to get a paper towel, excuse me for just a second. I'm going to wipe this off. And I like the weight and the size of this. So that's the one that I normally use. I do sometimes use these, and it's just the acrylic plates. Some people use them for stamping. I sometimes use these if I want to move it around. And the difference between using this and putting it directly on this, if I put it directly on this, it would still move around because of the paper. And I don't want the piece to move around on this. I want to be able to pick it up and move it around. And I think that's all. Oh, and I'm using this cutter just to get it even. This is the amount I'm going to be using. And what I did, and I'll show you. I took the cutter, and it's about the same size as it is from here to here, which I have extra on each side, which is going to give me the extra I need for the length of the body and the head. So, and this cutter came from these, and it is just a set of a bunch of different round cutters, to the smallest to the largest. Do you need these? No, you don't. You can take anything round, and you don't even need that. You can just take some clay and make a mound and roll it out. I normally use my pasta machine, I am not going to do that tonight because a lot of y'all are not going to have a, I didn't have a pasta machine when I first started either, okay? I had very few things when I first started doing clay. I think the very first thing that I bought was a tissue blade and a roller. And I'm just cutting. Can you see? I'm just cutting. It comes, it's like 4 long square rectangles, and I'm cutting one off. Okay. And now I'm trying to get it warm. And that's all I'm doing. Now, if I thought about it, I would have had that pack of clay up underneath my leg. Yes, I'm serious. I would have put that pack of clay up underneath my leg the whole time I was talking to you to get it warm. Because there's nothing worse than trying to get cold clay where it will roll without cracking on you. I think Kato clay is probably the hardest clay to work with. Once you get it pliable, then I think Kato clay is the best clay, but it's probably the hardest clay to work with. And I have worked with all of them, and that is what I have found for me. Now, it may not be that way for you. I'm still having issues with this thumb, so I'm trying not to get the clay up there. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to warm it up. I'm trying to get it soft enough. And so you know it's not soft enough when it does this. And I'm not even going to bother rolling it until I've got it soft enough. And it shouldn't take long to get it soft. The heat of your hands and you working with it. Now, one thing you do want to watch out about is getting bubbles in your clay, air bubbles, which you can do. That's going to move around, so I'm not going to. And see, this glass is not attached to this table either. When you go to fold your clay, make sure that you fold it one way, like this, see? Same thing with the pasta machine. You always want to put it, because that way, if there's any air, it allows the air to come out. And right now, I'm still just trying to get it soft. That's all I'm doing. And you don't want your surface to move like this is doing. I have rubber feet that should go on my glass, which is not on the glass right now. But those rubber feet keep it from moving around. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to roll this, okay? I'm going to roll this up. And I'm rolling it tight because I don't want air to get in the layers of my clay. And I will show you how to fix that if that happens. And I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm sort of just twisting it now. I'm still trying to get it soft. That's all I'm doing. And this clay, I've had this in my closet for probably a year now. Fresh clay is so much easier, but you don't ever know if you're going to get fresh clay even when you order it. Okay, it should start getting, yeah. You see how it's it's not tearing into, like, it's still pulling apart, but you're getting more of a, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like a cracked effect, okay? You see how I can pull on this? You see how I can keep pulling on it, and it's not, that is some kind, you can tell it's getting softer. Is it there yet? No, it's not. Not for what I want. Now, if I was just going to do a cookie cutter and roll it out flat and cut it with a cutter, this would be fine. But if you do not work your clay well enough, you're going to have issues with it also. So make sure you spend the time to do what I'm doing, because you don't want to spend as much time as you're going to end up spending just to have a piece that doesn't work. So just make sure that your clay is pliable before you start using it. And I hope y'all can see this. It's getting softer and softer, and I hope you can tell. And black, yes, black is bad about leaving it on your hands, and some are worse than others. Kato black leaves it really heavily. Okay. I'm going to try to roll it out again. But I'm not going to roll it out real thin. You see those air bubbles? Can you see the bubbles? It's right there. That means there's air in your clay, and you do not want that. Okay. That is what I'm going to work with. This is going to be the veneer. It's going to be really thin, but it's going to be the veneer, and it's enough to put the veneer on. All this is going to be is the shape of the body. And so I'm going to bring this over. And it's just about the size I want it. And then this is when you can decide on what you want, okay? You can decide on how you want it to look. Now I'm going to put veneer on it. So all I'm basically doing is I'm shaping it. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. I just poked myself with that, so y'all be careful. Okay. And there is no right or wrong here. You know, your art is your art. You create it the way you want it to look. Don't let anybody ever tell you, well, that's not realistic looking. Well, maybe you don't want something realistic looking. You know, maybe you want something more of a fantasy. You know, use your imagination. You do you, and you create what you want to create. And don't worry about anybody else. And that looks pretty good to me. Let's see. Hope y'all can see me doing this. I know the light is not good. And I took some of the money that I had put back for the new LED panels because I was totally out of resin. And so I took some of that money and bought some resin so I could get some resin in here. Eventually YouTube will, hopefully, the hope is that YouTube will start paying for at least the majority of the supplies that I use. But it's going to be October before I see anything. And for all of you that are doing channels, I want you all to know I don't do this for the money. The money's nice, okay? Don't get me wrong. And we live on a fixed income, you know. We do not have an overabundance of money, but we are blessed beyond measure. So I'm not complaining either. But my hope is that YouTube will supplement a little bit and at least pay for all the materials that I use. But it is a slow go just because you get monetized. And I will probably do a video on that too and tell you how much I made my first month of being monetized, which I've not been monetized for a full month, so I can't do that video yet. Can y'all see this? And I know you can't. This is why I probably should have done it on this so I could picked it up, but I think it's thick enough where I can pick it up. Okay. This is what I have so far. That's the body right there. Now remember, I'm going to do an overlay right here to give it some extra special little, and then of course those are going to go right there, okay? And so I do need, I don't know if butterflies have eyes or not, but I'm going to make two holes for the eyeballs. And then, how does the antenna go on a butterfly? Like right there, right? Like right there. And you see the hole? You see what I'm doing? I don't want that hole there. Okay, that's not going to work. I do not want that big hole there. So, I changed my mind. Yeah, I'm reforming this because I don't like that big hole there. And clay is real forgiving, okay? It is. And I'm able to manipulate and instead of doing that, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to make two. so there's not that big, huge hole there. So I'm coming over here and getting my pliers. Well, no, my cutters. Yeah. Goodness. Okay. I'm just cutting right there. Okay. Okay. We're redoing the eyeballs. Okay, and now I'm taking this over here just to make sure that it is going to fit. And I want you to see this. Of course, I have to bake this, but you see what it's going to look like so far. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this on that paper right there for right now. We're going to take this, which has gotten hard again because it's gotten cold. So we're going to have to rework this. And I'm not going to want this sticking. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to use alcohol, but I'm going to use some water. And it's just to keep it from sticking. I'm going to go get some water. I thought I had a little spray bottle of water over here somewhere. Which I do somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. Okay. So I'm just going to get a little sponge. I'm going to go in the bathroom real quick and just run it underneath water. Because I don't need a whole lot. Okay. And I just don't want it sticking. So I'm just putting some water down. And I'm sort of just putting about the length of what I need. And yes, I am using my roller to get this really, really thin, because I don't want it thick at all. And this is the reason why I put water down. because I want the detail to really be in there. And I want the clay to be very, very thin, because all it is a veneer to go right in the center. I'm not doing it on the head or the tail. Of course, you see the water standing there. I'm just barely tapping it to get the water off, okay? Okay. And I'm going to go get my gold. Which I thought was right out here. It was. Okay. The Inca Gold, which I need. Yeah, see, it's starting to get crumbly on me. And why it's still on this, because I don't want it to move, okay? See, it's gotten, no, it should not do this. You don't want that right there. And that's from it being too thick. Okay. And it is. The other's not doing it. I don't know why the gold is, but it most definitely is. All I'm doing is I want to highlight this. That's all I'm doing. And then, can you see this? Okay. I don't care what the back looks like. I'm going to bring my, that's all I wanted. I just wanted, I sort of wanted a little green too, but I don't have the green. You know what, let's try this. Because I do have, this color, and so let me just, oh, and see, this is just so creamy. That's the way it's supposed to be. I don't know why the gold is so. Let's see if I can just do touches. Yeah, I can just do touches of that color. Okay, now I'm going to take my tissue blade, and I am cutting. Do you see this? I'm cutting it at an angle, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to be fitting it don't know. That should be enough. Yeah, see how it's pulling away? Okay. We're going to take this over here. Just want to see how big of a piece that I need. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. an angle. And the same thing down here. Okay. And this is where you start using the tool. And because I cut it at that angle, it's going to fit better. And yes, you're probably going to lose a little bit of the design, but that's okay. You want it to look like it's all the same piece. I need a smaller one of these, I think. I hope y'all can see this. All I'm doing is I am very lightly, not with much pressure at all. I am very lightly smoothing it down because I cut it at an angle on the edges. It allows me to smooth it down a lot easier to where it looks like it's all the same piece. And I hope y'all can see this. I hope it's coming through so you can tell. And if it looks sort of chunky in a spot, just take your little sharper edge Okay, now I'm going to pick it up because I want to see what it looks like. It's looking pretty darn good, actually. And it's pretty connected to the clay up underneath. You see what I'm doing now? Because this part's not going to show, okay? That part's going to be glued to the resin butterfly. All we're doing is making sure that both pieces of clay join and become one. Okay. And there you have it. That is what it's going to look like. I will put this in the oven and I will bake that. But it finishes the butterfly so lovely. And the body, I don't know if you can see it, but the body has so much texture. And it blends very well with, and I won't have to do anything with this. I will glue this. I will glue the antennas in when it comes out to make sure that they are permanent. I may put a little bit of gold in the eyes. I'm not sure yet. But all I'll do is I'll glue this down onto the resin and it will be finished. This does not need to be sealed. There's nothing else you need to do with this clay except for bake it. So I'm going to put it on this and I am going to go put this in the oven upstairs for 30. I may bake this because it is thick. I may bake this for 45 minutes. And then when it's done, I'll be right back down here and we'll glue it on. Alrighty, see you then. Okay, we're back. I actually baked it for 45 minutes. Here it is. It's hard as rock. And now I'm going to pull these out. And I may not have to pull them out. It's like they're stuck in there. So I'm just going to leave this alone, because they're in there pretty good. This is what it's going to look like on. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this Fix-It-All adhesive super glue. Micro brush that I'm sort of moving it around down. And I'm going to just lay it on here. And I'm going to hold it in place for a minute. Now this is going to take probably several hours to totally dry. But I'm hoping that it will dry enough for me to raise this up so you can see this. And that's how you take a piece of resin to the next level. Resin and polymer clay go hand in hand together. You can create something with resin and add polymer clay to take it up to the next level. You can do something with clay and add resin to change it up and take it to the next level. But the two work very, very well together. And I am going to add just a hint. Let's see if I can get this. to get a little gold in there so I'm just sort of highlighting it. And I'm playing around with it until I get it to where I like it. And I am going to add just a touch. Not much. I just want a little bit of the blue. Just here and there. And that is enough. And there you have it. And I'm going to try to raise this up. And I hope it stays on there enough. And that's what it looks like with a polymer clay body. And I think it completes the butterfly. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And there will be more polymer clay to follow because I love polymer clay right along with resin. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up button. If you've not subscribed, I would love for you to do so. Thank you, and I will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.